All right. Well, apparently the world has had a jump on this movie. It's been doing blockbuster numbers across the world. America finally, or the United States, I should say, just got it yesterday. I hope you watched it. We have. Let's start the show. See, the Superior is back with us tonight. See how you're doing.
I'm doing well, thank you. I've returned from Skull Island and Paradise Island.
Are you the little girl that we saw all grown up in this movie?
I didn't want to spoil it, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
I am her.
Okay. And here we have Techzilla, not Mecha Godzilla, but Techzilla himself. Sir, how you doing?
Fantastic. What a great monster verse this is.
Mhm.
I love it. I love it. I love it. It's a good time. It's a great time. It is awesome.
Final thoughts.
And
Four
here we
movies.
have
Four
here we have
movies. And this is great. I'm on no sleep. No sleep.
okay. The man is hyped up with no sleep, but that's all right. What is he doing to have this energy? We don't know. We don't want to know. All right. And here we have the man in black chasing Michael Myers in that movie that we don't talk about in the Halloween franchise. The executive consultant. Executive, how you doing?
Doing quite excellent as always. How is everybody doing tonight?
We're doing well. We can't see you. We hope that you're okay. Can you confirm this
I'm
for the audience?
perfectly. I'm taking my. I notice once a month C does this thing where she doesn't show her face, for different reasons. I'm taking mine today. This is what I want to do. I want to not show my face and be able to talk my mess. That's me. I call it a superior day.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, I want to play.
Here we go.
Oh, here we
I call
go.
dibs. I call
We all
dibs.
can't be me now. We all can't be me.
Okay, well, Vic took it to a new level. He just disappeared entirely. But we're gonna talk of sort of a semi best of, but in a general sense, talk about this movie. But let me give a synopsis before we start all that. Essentially, this is, I believe, the fourth film in this monsters universe. This follows after about 40, 50 years. We don't know exactly what year this movie takes place, after the events of Skull Island. And at this point, this takes place after Godzilla King of Monsters, rather, about 40 years after Skull Island. And we see that in the after events of Ghidorah's attack on the world, Godzilla is really looked at as a hero of mankind, but for some reason, he is randomly attacking these different sites, and no discernible pattern can be made by the general public. So they believe that Godzilla is now a threat to humanity, whereas before he was its savior. Now, there's a small group of people who are also trying to get to what they call a nexus inside the Hollow Earth that has become a known working theory, and they want to use King Kong, who they have isolated on a small section of Skull Island, and that we saw in Skull Island, and use him to go to the center of the Earth and harness energy they believe that can be inexhaustible, right? And while all of this is going on, we have two different factions. One that believes that Godzilla is a threat, another that believes that human beings and not titans should rule the earth, and then a third who believes that King Kong has to be used in order to stop the destruction that Godzilla is wreaking all over the planet. And being able to get to all these different locations via this hollow earth and the tunnels that intersect therein. But this is the first segment, best of, worst of. I'm very curious to see what everybody has to say about what they liked about the movie. Chris, you had a lot to say. Why don't you go first?
You said me or C?
You.
Oh no, let me go last.
Chris has missed programming notes. Techzilla, did you want to go and tell us what you liked about this movie? You were very
Okay. So
tired.
now, like I said before, I started this series at 4:00 in the morning with Godzilla, right? And so far, all of this is awesome. The only thing that pisses me off is that why is it that King Kong loves a blonde? Like, no matter what direction they put King Kong, he loves a blonde. I was sick and tired of seeing Captain Marvel in King Kong, and every time King Kong sees Captain Marvel, he's all
Vic, what are you talking about?
That's Skull Island. Second of all, in the MonsterVerse one with all the monsters, and then at the end when Godzilla is like, when everybody's bowing down to Godzilla, awesome. Okay, so now to this movie, because clearly this was a sequel of the other movie, which is great. This whole MonsterVerse is awesome. I love how this is a baby. It's literally a John Cena versus Daniel Bryan match. It's freaking awesome. Because like Godzilla is like the man on one side, and then King Kong is like the man on the other side, right? But what I didn't like was the Techzilla. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, really? Come on, man. You guys are really going to try to kind of make a copy out of it? Even though I do appreciate their efforts. I feel like it was a little corny. However, at the same time, since I'm at the end of the movie, I'm really hoping for these two to tag team against Techzilla. That's what I'm waiting.
Can you say that last part again?
Huh?
Okay.
What?
You said, what did you say towards the end? That you're at the...
I'm at the end of the
movie. Are you
movie.
watching the movie right now?
Yes.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, he's watching it live with you.
Yes.
Hold on.
He's watching
you can watch about all 5 of these Godzilla movies.
The house. Huh?
So you watched all 4 or 5 of the movies, but not the one we're talking about today.
Hey, listen, man, I had to know the story. I had to do 2 lease signings today. I have all... What are my steps? I'm at 27,000 steps on my Fitbit. I've been a busy day. I'm on no sleep. I'm drinking coffee. Let's do this. Oh, all the lasers and the red lasers and the blue lasers is awesome.
Okay. So
Vic
with
is
that,
allegedly drinking coffee. Allegedly. That's what's giving him this energy.
So,
Chrissy, do you want me to jump in here, or do you want me to go? I'm just writing some things down.
I'll go ahead and go. I watched the first half of the movie last night, and I finished the other half of the movie hours ago. So I watched it with the intent of just an overall discussion. So I didn't really pinpoint which scenes were like my best and least favorite. If I'm just going off the top of my head, which scenes were the worst? Okay, let me start with my best. Okay. Clearly, the fight scenes were what people come to see this movie for. They were done really well. I think the CGI, the special effects were really, really good. I personally was rooting for King Kong to win or Kong to win.
Same.
But I came in there believing that Godzilla was going to win. Like, okay, let me be completely honest. I had a feeling that they were going to introduce a third villain because, of course, these are 2 different strong franchises. Nobody really wants to come away as the loser.
Nice catch.
So, but if it were to stay like just versus Godzilla, I feel like overpowers King Kong because of his power set. He has so much more he can do.
Okay.
But with that being said, I was rooting for Kong because we were given a little bit more of a emotional connection to Kong through this movie. And that happened through the little girl.
Oh.
If anyone can remember her name. I can't at the moment, but we get that emotional connection with Kong through her. And I did enjoy those scenes, even though I didn't originally understand how it was that she was so connected to him. Mm-hmm. But before the show, to our viewers, before the show, James and Vic kind of hit me to a little bit of the past history of the other movies, because I have not seen the other like Godzilla, King Kong movies. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, the action scenes were really great. If you're going there to see, of course, what you're going there to see, Godzilla versus Kong, it's great in that aspect. Mm-hmm. Worst scenes, I cannot pinpoint a worst scene at this. Maybe there may be a worst plot point for me. I feel like that whole Middle Earth, Hollow Earth thing was kind of thrown in there just to give King Kong access to a weapon he can use to make him a formidable opponent to Godzilla. Okay. Because him just going there and, knowing where he's going, returning home. And for one, these gorillas have like the best architecture. Like, how are they building this throne room with all these like high arches and all of this? But he gets Mjolnir, and the whole reason he gets that is, I feel like, to make him more formidable. So that part of the story, I feel like, is a little nonsensical to me. But other than that,
boom. Okay. Sorry, I'm missing the comments. Charmaine says she didn't see the movie. Charmaine, this is going to be a smaller review, so I'm sorry,
Cold brews.
but you say you don't mind you drink cold brew at a Starbucks. Is that? She's saying hi, and
Oh, the
okay. So I didn't know that they made an original one. I saw like a little clip of that on YouTube that
Back in
they
the
have
60s.
that.
Vic
Would
saw
you?
it today.
No, no, no. I just noticed it when I was looking it up in the Fire Stick. I
Mhm.
peeped that.
What year did it come out? You said.
Hmm?
What year did you say it came out?
It was like in the 60s.
It was
Wow.
really old because it looked like,
Mhm.
costume people. I
It
just
looked
saw
like
clips of
Power
it.
Rangers of the 90s.
Yeah.
It was very, of the time. All right, so Chrissy, you said two different things. One thing that I want to touch on is, I will say this: that the Hollow Earth. I understand why you say that. If you just come into this movie having not watched the others in this universe, this is, and we were talking about this backstage, as Chrissy alluded to. This has nothing to do with the Jack Black one that Peter Jackson did. I think it came out in '05. That's a different King Kong, right? A different King Kong universe. That is a remake of the 1920s one. This is very much after the Godzilla. I think that came out in 2014. Then you have Skull Island. And so they set up the monster universe, and then you have an extension of that with the other Titans and King of Monsters, and this is the fourth one in that film franchise series, right? In the previous ones, they do mention the Hollow Earth, and they expand on that. It's also mentioned even in Skull Island. I think that's the first time that you hear about it, and that is a work at that time. That's just a theory. Um, Because just finally caught up to the part that he was alluding to earlier, but that's a working theory in Skull Island by Professor, played by John Goodman. And in the beginning of the movie, Chrissy, you hear him talk about that as a voiceover. But you obviously, if you just coming into it watching this brand new, nobody would know that. So I understand why she says that. And actually, I found out that that was originally supposed to be the end credit scene, but they thought that they needed actually in the middle of the movie to explain some things, as Chrissy talks about. Where is he getting this weapon that his ancestors made at some point, which is actually a mix of some of their bones and also some of the other Titans' armor in the Hollow Earth. Okay. I will say, having watched the other movies and known a little bit of that, I found it incredibly fascinating. And I would be very interested to see where they take it, because you could go in so many different directions, considering that it's not some small little area. It's literally the center of the earth. And so it could be vast. We don't know how large this area is. Who built that temple shrine area that Kong's ancestors lived in? Did they themselves build it? That would presume that they were very, very intelligent. They were making tools and everything like that. Again, that's a highly skilled thing, and so it would show that in this sense that they had evolved far beyond what gorillas on our on the surface world know, right? So there had to be some communication and civilization like that. And this movie does speak of the war that, again, they went more into in Skull Island, that there was a war between the Titans, right? Hence why there was immediate conflict with Godzilla when he sensed Kong there, because those two, especially, their ancestors were rivals, and it's just a preternatural disposition for them. Another thing Christy
Okay.
mentioned that I wanted to bring up was the emotional connection that, at least for me, I had immediately with Kong versus Godzilla. I don't know what it is, if it's because it's a simian, and I'm not trying to get into a whole evolutionary thing like that. Don't put that on me, but I found that Kong was more relatable, whereas Godzilla was just, and this is even in the other ones, in the other films, right? Even in Godzilla 2014, if that's the year that came out, and then in King of Monsters, I might have been rooting for Godzilla to win over Ghidorah, but I never felt a strong emotional connection. Whereas when King Kong was fighting, I felt like I was rooting for him. I wanted him to find another a Kong or of his species in the Hollow Earth and everything like that. And I thought that they did that very effective, considering that this is only the second time that we've seen him in the movie. And even in Skull Island, very early on, we see that he is not the antagonist that the trailers would have led you to believe, but in fact, he's actually the protector, right, of that. And I thought it was a great continuation of that, of what they started out in the universe, and it seemed like a shared universe. I love the Hollow Earth, as I said that. I like this movie in general more than I like King of Monsters. I've personally found King of Monsters to have too much human and not enough Titan. And the reason I say that, is it's called King Kong versus Godzilla, right? Who do I want to see? I don't want to see Stranger Things. I don't want to see scientists. Maybe I can see 3 women running, screaming down the street, like as a callback to the originals. I want to see Titans go at it and punch things, right? Like I said, it remind me of Power Rangers. What do I want? Bulk and Skull. A little Bulk and Skull is fine. I don't want a whole episode. I want its morphin time. That's what I'm tuning in for. And in Godzilla King of Monsters, yeah, they had all the Titans, but I had to wait through a whole lot of exposition, a whole lot of talking to get to the meat. And I came here for the meat. I paid $20. Show me some stuff I can't see. I can see people outside for free, right? This one, they still had the dialogue to explain what's going on if you're coming to it fresh, right? And to continue building that universe. But there was a lot more action. There was a lot more Godzilla. And let me just say this: if you haven't seen this movie, if you like this movie, you can't complain about Man of Steel, because they destroyed that city. Now, I'm not going to say the name of the city, because nowadays people are not going to listen to the context, and you're going to try and say I'm saying something else that I'm not saying, and I'm not reading the emails. So miss me with that. But they obliterated that city.
Yes.
Okay, let's keep that 100.
Millions lost their lives.
Yes, and I couldn't believe, like, I'm watching this, I couldn't believe they did it, but they did it. Now, the only thing I will say is I would have liked for them to at least say, well, damn, because they were coming out like, oh, the rain stopped. No, there was decimation. There was like one building half standing. That's it. Okay, so I will say they went there, that these Titans are going at it, and I've never seen that in any of these films before. And the other thing that I didn't like, it's not a knock against the movie. It actually builds to how dangerous Ghidorah was, in that if you saw King of Monsters, he was creating all these geostorms around the earth. He was able to summon that the people in Skull Island, they were wiped out. And I actually enjoyed their moment that we got to see them in Skull Island, because it felt like a living, breathing community, and they didn't feel like just they weren't caricatures as in the original King Kong, and or just gross stereotypes, not even caricatures, but they were living, breathing people that you could see came from different cultures, and they had made a life, and it was peaceful, and it was beautiful. And it hurt me that they were wiped out. I wanted to see more of them than just the little girl survive. I'm glad that they do survive in her. But when I heard that, I was like, damn, that's messed up, because I enjoyed their people. But Chris, I know you got a lot to say. I'm assuming you do. Jump in here. Oh, sorry. The thing I didn't like. Sorry, Chris. I'm sorry. The thing I didn't like was they early on. You have this guy who has this radio program. I forget the character's name. I'll look at
Bernie.
it. And he's the know-it-all. I don't say that in a pejorative sense, but he knows the scuttlebutt of what's going on, because he works at Apex Technologies, right?
He is hilarious.
Yeah, he's a joke. He should have been played by Kevin Hart. Here's why I say that: because as soon as they meet Stranger Things, and Bobby Millie Brown's character, who is literally just the daughter of a scientist, she doesn't have Godzilla's phone number. She wasn't doing the same thing that this little girl was doing with King Kong. So she's in there because she has a contract, and she was in the second one, and she's a big name star. Salute to her and make your money, right? But this genius expert, who's a genius because he's working at this company as a computer, and he hacks that company, and nobody knows he did that.
Probational.
Yeah. But as soon as he meets with Millie Bobby Brown and the Marshmallow Man that Chris called him in our I forget the movie
Deadpool
now.
2.
Deadpool 2. Thank you, Chrissy. Review. As soon as he becomes a demurring little boy. And so much so that in the end, in the big hacking scene, I wasn't looking to Marshmallow Man, as Chris calls him. I didn't call him that. I called him Raven Simone. But he's looking to him, who we don't know that he's some kind of great computer genius. This guy's supposed to be the great computer genius, and only Marshmallow Man knows to pour the water on the open vent. I'm sorry, only Raven knows to pour the liquor on the open vent. How come nobody knows that? Why does this computer? That's where he's supposed to shine. But he becomes a boy the minute he meets Millie Bobby Brown, and she's ordering them, getting them into trouble and everything like that. He's completely useless. I thought I was watching a Kevin Hart movie, and spoiler alert, that's probably going to be my recasted. I'm going to leave Marshmallow Moon, aka Raven Simone, recast this black guy because he should have been played by Kevin Hart, because I didn't want anything to do with him. I didn't find him to be a man, and I wouldn't want to be him in a movie. Kevin Hart. Chris, it's yours.
Okay, well, I almost am upset that I went last. I should have just went right after Chrissy if I knew all that was coming. But I did get an education. Thank you so much, James. Now,
you're welcome.
I'm not sure how we're doing this. What are we doing? Are we saying everything right now or what?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me go ahead with this one. So, Kaden asks, do I agree with this? It feels like the battle was booked like wrestling, where they protected both kaijus and neither truly lost. That is going to be my best stuff scene and my worst stuff scene. So last week or this past week, I put up a poll and I said, hey, who do you think is going to come out the victor? And it was like 46% said Godzilla. And that was on Facebook. On my, I was on Instagram. On my Facebook, it was the other way around, and people actually thought Kong was going to win. So these people who voted for Kong, I wanted to get in their inbox, and I want to be like, hey, can you explain to me how a monkey's beating a dinosaur? They had no answers for me. Right? And then I'm listening to these two up top, and they're like, oh, I wanted Kong to win. So yes, Kaden, you are right. It is built like a wrestling match, because we got the baby faces being King Kong, and they wanted the baby faces to win. They were rooting for them to win, even though there was no chance he was going to have a heel. But it was an underdog fight, was it? Because what happened? Kong sits Godzilla. Who the hell is dare call me in the middle? All right. King Kong got sensed by Godzilla. Godzilla came and on an aircraft carrier whooped that ass. But Kong, after they finally decided to release him because he was tilting boats and shit, and all of a sudden now he's playing hopscotch on boats because he's not that heavy. But he's playing hopscotch on boats, and then still got his ass whooped by Kong. Round 1 goes to Kong. Round 2, goes to Godzilla. Round 2 goes to Kong because Kong came in after jumping thousands, millions of miles from Hollow Earth to real Earth. They didn't explain that properly, but that's fine, because I had to rewind it a couple times to say, how the hell did he get up there? It just happened out of nowhere, but whatever, right? So he gets up there, he beats Godzilla's ass because you got to make it look like it's even. Then Godzilla gets up. I've seen that a few times in Southeast DC. He gets up, and then he goes after Kong, and he whoops that ass. But you know what? After he stomped on his heart a few times, he gave him the nod like, good job, kid. Die with dignity. I'm going to yell in your face. They were comparing bad breath to each other. I thought that was cute. Anyway, see, I agree. She was watching on Instagram Live. I wanted to clap a few times because she said, hey, they're going to introduce third baddie. I was like, you're right. But I remember when people were mentioning that, and somebody correctly spoiled, hey, it's probably going to be Mechagodzilla. What happened? They built their own Zord, and Mechagodzilla came out right after killing everybody because they were like, okay, you're no longer needed for the plot. After killing everybody, they team up. So here's what happened. Long story short, they knew Godzilla should have won because Godzilla should win, but they had Kong save the day. So if you're a Godzilla fan, you'll be happy Godzilla whooped that ass like he should. And if you're a Kong fan, you'll be happy that, hey, Kong at least got to save the day. Kong got to be the hero. You said you felt a little bit of sympathy towards Kong because Kong was talking to a little kid, and Jean Grey, as I call her, Kong was talking to a little kid, and Kong was sign language and stuff like that.
Not what I said, but go ahead.
I feel sorry for them. Oh, he's the hero. Where Godzilla said, no, boy, I'm going around, and I'm the alpha dog. I'm the alpha dog. King Kong ain't got nothing on me. Is what he said.
We'll come back to that movie later.
C was like, let me tell you what C was saying on her Instagram Live. Y'all should watch it. Next time she does it, I'll probably have come on Unpopular Review and go live for everybody. Let me tell you what C was saying. I should be upset because Godzilla's getting his ass whooped now by Mechagodzilla. Yeah, you should be upset. Godzilla didn't do anything wrong. He was
framed as the villain the whole movie. And I don't care if he's getting his ass kicked by this guy.
Because he was going after bad guys who was trying to create the monster, and he could sense it.
Yeah.
As far as him going after Kong, they explained that at the beginning of the movie. They're two alphas. They've been at war. Why they've been at war, I don't know, because a war is supposed to be a battle between two sides that both have equal chances of winning. Kong had no chance of beating Godzilla.
Mjolnir made it even. That's why they had that whole Hollow Earth.
let's go ahead and quotables since we're not doing those things. But let's go ahead and quotables because I have a quote. I don't know her name because her name wasn't important enough to know. But she came out like a badass. You know, she's wearing her shades because that's automatic badass. She's wearing her shades. She's on a helicopter. She comes down. She's talking to her. She's talking about all the good stuff they have. Then she looks at her, him, the guy that had a beard one scene and then in the next. It says, "You can be impressed now." Like, I love that line. Expect to hear it a few times.
Her character name is
not important. So
it's Maya Simmons. She's the daughter of the founder of Apex.
Yeah, I got you.
I had a different name because when she first appeared, sorry, Chrissy, they zoomed in on her breasts, which were hugged so tightly, and that black shirt. You could see every outline and everything. This is the movie shot it. It's not me. And so I said, okay, nickname titties. Got it. That's how I had to remember because that's how they portrayed her.
Who is surprised? This is the kind of movie we're here for. But yeah.
But besides that, I mean, you know, the movie was quite enjoyable. The fight scenes, the CGI, I mean, everything about it. I think it made sense the way they went about it. Yeah. Once again, I'll go back to C's Instagram. You should pay attention to C's Superior. But, you know, Middle Earth, as she calls it, was completely wrong. It's like you made me want to go to sleep because you're making a Lord of the Rings reference. But you know, they're going to Hollow Earth to get the axe. You know, it made sense because that's the only way he was going to do battle. I mean, and you show how powerful the axe is because it shot through Godzilla and then it just tore apart Mecha Godzilla. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, and I almost, you know, I had so much recasting for this movie. I'm still going to do it, but I'm not going to do the recast that I wanted to do because it would take a lot of Photoshop. But I wanted Godzilla to do this scene right here with the axe as he's coming for Godzilla, and then I was going to Photoshop Superman into it and go not impressed because I wasn't impressed for a while. But that's just me trying to have a little bit of fun. Mm. But I do have some recasting, and unless somebody was going to go, I wanted to do them real quick because.
Well, let me ask you this before you do the recasting. Did anybody see them doing Mecha Godzilla?
I did after somebody said it on something I posted.
Okay.
And then when they said that, I was like, you know what? That does make sense. So it's probably going to Mecha Godzilla. And see, put it. They needed a third. Okay, they needed a third baddie, so to speak. Yeah. In there. Because I mean, people go to see Godzilla, people go to see Kong. They don't want to see either one of them die. And might I add, since Vic was on a marathon today, Godzilla was cool. It took a while to pick up. Mm-hmm. Godzilla King of Monsters, I thought was great. I really thoroughly enjoyed Godzilla King of Monsters, and I agree with what Techzilla says over there at the end when Godzilla says, "Yeah, I'm boss man now." Mm-hmm. I did like that scene. So the next movie, because I watched it like in succession, those two movies, Godzilla King of Monsters and Godzilla vs. Kong. So the next movie when Godzilla is seeking out Kong because he's an alpha, it made sense to me. I'm like, okay, everybody else is bowing down. Bow down
as well.
You know, so I felt that. But the respect that they give, because at the end, Godzilla like gives him a little head nod again, and then he goes into the ocean.
What's the sound that he made, Chris? Now, we always want to highlight.
I've employed some people at Home Depot who made the same sound.
We always want to highlight our audience, and we have many of you may not know this, but their amateur comedian Caden is, and Caden says something funny. Did Kong say his mom's name is Martha, and that's why Godzilla didn't kill him? Caden, you can see him at the Laugh Factory. He's going to be doing stand-up because if you watch his Snyder cut, where they completely disrespected that great movie, and I've yet to comment on that. But Caden, it's coming. I see what you're doing there, and it's coming. And I wanted to give you your shine. There you go.
Recast it, everyone.
All right. So I have a couple of recasts. The first recast that I want to do is this, right? This is Mecha Godzilla. Unfortunately, this was the only picture I could find of him online. And I wanted to recast him as this because this is how he looked to me when he was whooping Godzilla's ass in Hong Kong.
Isn't that from
that's Megatron?
Yeah, it is Megatron. Yeah,
he's from Transformers Races.
You couldn't see it because he's
you know the one with the gold teeth Transformers. You remember that one? Yeah. Speaking in a ghetto dialect. Do you remember that one?
This recasting is brought to you by See the Superior. If you watch my live,
bull crap. I already had it in mind, but anyway,
no, you said, "Oh yeah, that's a great recasting."
That was a great one. Then I said deboing. Anyway, so
you never mentioned it.
No, deboing is. I'm about to debo it. So Techzilla,
exactly brought to you by moi.
You didn't realize this was Megatron because he's more than meets the eye. But anyway, the next person I want to recast is this guy right here.
Why is it?
I could not put my hand on it. It's like this guy looks so familiar, but I could not figure out who he was.
You didn't remember him?
I could not remember him. And then once again, watching See the Superior's Live, she's like, "That's the guy from Deadpool 2." I was like, "Oh yes, now it's coming to me." Who I want to recast this guy as. But I said no, because he's not causing that much of a mess. So this one I think makes a little bit more sense, and that is Godzilla versus the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. That is my recasted for that. But I have one more recasted, but I don't have pictures for this one. The little girl's father, the little girl from Godzilla King of Monsters to Godzilla that had a growth spurt of puberty to Godzilla versus Kong.
Friday Night Lights guy.
Exactly. 2 years, yeah, the Friday Night Lights guy, as you call him. I wanted to recast him because I would like to see the same guy from Godzilla King of Monsters, because I don't know if he got neutered in this movie or what, but he just stayed behind the office or something all day, whereas in the last movie, he was out on subs, he was out on ships, he was out on islands where there are monsters going all around him, and I'm like, what the hell? He's like, "Hey, where you at? Where you at? I'm going to be there after everybody dies." Right, and that wasn't where he was in the first movie. So I wanted that guy because I like that guy. This guy I didn't like. It's like they just put him in there just because she needed to have somebody to care about her, because this guy definitely didn't care about her. I'm sorry, my bad, wrong picture. This guy didn't care about her, so they had to do that father. Oh, damn! All right.
He actually looks like one of the Ghostbusters. Like he
does. So the last thing also I want to recast, and this is just me piggybacking off of James because I thought about this too. If you saw the destruction of Hong Kong, it reminded me so much of the end of Man of Steel with Metropolis, where everybody got on Twitter and wanted to do cancel culture on Superman because of the destruction that happened. When two super-powered human beings were fighting, what do you think is going to happen? When you have Godzilla versus King Kong versus Mechagodzilla, what can happen? The thing that bothered me about it, it's the same thing that bothered me about Godzilla King of Monsters and Godzilla, period, is why isn't anybody running from the city? Everybody seems to stay home, and I don't understand it. Like, Godzilla was in the city for God knows how long, and now all of a sudden, I think when Kong hit him or something, now all of a sudden I'm seeing people running. Why am I seeing you running now? Your ass should have been gone. That shit bothered me, okay? That's all I wanted to mention.
All right.
You have people running in circles and, like, hanging out in the first floor buildings, and they come out like after the first fight is over.
Yeah,
and then they run again when Mechagodzilla comes out, and I'm like, no, get in a boat and go out into the ocean somewhere where you're, because when I tell you the city was leveled, there was nothing left. There was nothing left.
Not at all. So that's what it was a little confusing to me. You know, I don't know how you felt about that bit.
Well, I just enjoyed the match. Like, I wasn't thinking about the details. But I definitely enjoyed the match. Like, it was literally like John Cena versus Daniel Bryan SummerSlam. Great match. And then after that, it turns into a handicap match, which was awesome. You know, but as far as, like, you know, the details of people running away whenever there's a crisis, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, clearly it was a model city, you know, just like when they did Power Rangers, like, you know, when Goldar would get big and then they would break all of this stuff. You know what I mean? Nobody ran away from Angel Grove. You know what I'm saying? But, like, I see what you mean. Like,
Dragonzord was almost recasted in this too.
Well, Dragonzord, yeah.
Oh, I'll give you that.
You know what I mean? I mean, or even a Thunder Megazord, but still, like, wow, Power Rangers. Maybe we should review Power Rangers.
Anyway.
Well, back to this film that we're reviewing today, which is, of course, Godzilla versus Kong.
Tell me which one is which.
Doesn't matter, because we're at final thoughts, and I just wanted to say that as far as this movie goes, I feel like if you're going to go see an action movie, which you're obviously going there to see or loading up to see, it delivers on that. It's not too much like, you know, non-action. You don't get too much of, it's not like you get like 5 seconds of Godzilla, 5 seconds of, you know, King Kong, and then they just want to call it that for the sake of, you know, getting you in the seats. You get a lot of each character. CGI is great, action's great. People, I don't care about the people. They're there. If you're going there for a story development, this isn't the story for you. You're going for action. They deliver on that. So I'm going to give this movie a thumbs up.
Okay.
Who would like to go next?
I'll go next. I give this movie a thumbs up. I thought it did exactly what it needed to do. I mean, it's not an easy story to tell when you just have two monsters going at it, but they did the best they could. They added characters in there to keep the story moving. CGI it was spectacular. It was great. There's not a lot of things you can nitpick about this movie. It's not a perfect movie by any means necessary, but it still is a movie you go out and you enjoy. And I did. So thumbs up from me. Techzilla on you.
Okay, so clearly, I had a lot of fun today watching 4 movies. Now, the one thing that makes me sad is that this is the end of the Monsterverse.
No, it's not.
Okay, because there's no end credits, so I just assumed it was the end of the Monsterverse.
This movie is making tons of money. Believe me, there's going to be another one.
Where you know what? I agree. But anyway, the Monsterverse, the entire Monsterverse, is awesome. Actually, I'm actually a little sad that we didn't really start doing this previously. And that's because I didn't see any of these movies. I've always been a fan of King Kong. Clearly, King Kong is a New York thing. However, this is a very different King Kong. It's not the King Kong that's jumping on top of the Empire State Building and saving some blonde. Even though in the Kong movie, I was a little annoyed by seeing Captain Marvel there. But still, this whole thing was just awesome. It was great. I loved it, and I'm here for more. I want more of the Monsterverse. Thumbs up.
Just some notes. Again, haven't watched this movie, haven't watched the other ones that came before it. Just some questions that I have. Why was Raven-Symoné in this movie? I still don't know. They didn't do anything. Chrissy is confused as I am. I don't know. Also, apparently her character name, this is Millie Bobby Brown, her character's name is Madison Russell. Now, her father, the doctor that Chris alluded to earlier, he was the one who actually knows things. You want to know why? Because he's a doctor. Her mother was a scientist, right? That's a doctor. Why are we following Madison Russell, this, ninth grader? What does Raven-Symoné and Kevin Hart have to do with anything? This is not a Transformers movie. I don't want to see them in there unless they're really adding to the plot. Thank you, Alexander Skarsgård. After all, you're royalty from True Blood. If you know that, then you know why. Okay, so I like that Hollow Earth. I don't know why Chris is shaking his head. No, these things. And lastly, last programming note before I give my final thoughts on this thing, you can see Caden at the Laugh Factory this Saturday night, where he's going to be doing all sorts of stand-up and not just in our comment section. Now, what do I think about this movie? Did it continue as a sequel supposed to do to the mythology set up in the previous films? Yes. Did they give me the Titans that they said in the title? Yes. Did they give me less humans and more Titan fighting? Oh, they did. Cut to the end if you don't believe that. All right. When they went full Mecha Godzilla, I said, well, I actually stopped, and I think I can't remember if I just texted Chris or I texted the whole. I said, they're really going there. They're really going there. You know, it's something when you can see a movie with the special effects that we have today versus people in the suits back then, and you think, oh, well, they're never going to be able to do this in the real world. And then we come into the world of Jurassic Park, and, 20-something years later, whatever, 30 years later, I guess now, here we have King Kong versus Godzilla. It looked great. Did they make this during quarantine? I don't know. Probably. Did they finish it post in quarantine? Probably. But it looks fantastic. I like this universe. I like the world. I want to see more of it. I want to see less humans if it's about Titans, right? And if they continue to do that, they got a moneymaker. And as it's doing box office around the world, they are surely going to make another one. It's a thumbs up.
All right, so that concludes our review of Godzilla versus Kong. I hope you enjoyed our show. Don't forget to leave us a like and subscribe to our channel if you enjoy watching movies with us. So go ahead.
What do we have next week?
Next week, Tuesday, or are we skipping to Thursday? What are we doing here? Thursday, we're going to be talking about Goodfellas. Haven't seen it. Very excited to watch it.
Oh, you never seen that, Chrissy?
Never seen it.
I think you'll like it.
I think you will.
And never seen it.
I think you'll like it.
I think you will.
And on Tuesday, we're going to be starting Star Wars. We're getting into Star Wars, which is super exciting.
Much like Yoda, we're going to be doing these movies out of order.
Well, we're going to be doing them in the order, not the order that they were released, but in the order that they make sense in the story.
They make sense in the order release, not in the chronological, because it'll ruin things. It will ruin things. Vic, I'm telling you, watch 4, 5, and 6 before you watch episode 1. Because you've never seen them before.
Another all actually, I could do that over.
If you've seen them, then you can watch chronological. In my opinion, if you've seen them before, you can watch it in chronological order. If you haven't, see 4, 5, and 6 first, because then you're going to be like, well, wait, why is this versus that? This is not going to have an impact because you already know something's coming. So that's why I suggest, Vic, you watch 4, 5, and 6. You do that anyway, but watch 4, 5, and 6 if you haven't seen them already, and then join us Tuesday, please, for episode 1, Phantom Menace. But if you have seen them before, then just tune in.
Okay. So join us then, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you for joining us on another edition of Unpopular Reviews. Love y'all. God bless and good night.